Hi, my name is Dr. Marvia Jones. I am the Health Director for the City of Kansas City, Missouri. With everything that we've been facing from the local, state, and national level, our vision for the Kansas City, Missouri Health Department in the coming year is that we are truly embedded into the Kansas City, Missouri community, and that all of our initiatives align with the needs as well as the requests of the community, so that we can really ensure that we're holistically serving our residents. Right now, we provide a plethora of services to residents. So you can come in and get your children's childhood vaccinations. You can come in and get tested for any sexually transmitted diseases there might be. You can come in and receive a benefit from our food pantry. What we also want to remind the public is that we also understand that mental well-being and mental wellness is a key part of their health. So we want to be more present in that space, providing additional reminders to our residents, as well as any resources we can provide. The biggest role that I see public health having in reminding people about the importance of remembering mental health and its role on the other things that we see, the other health outcomes we see. Public health is really good about looking at risk factors, the things that put us at risk for a health outcome or health behavior, and the things that protect us. So when we think about something like violence and violence prevention, we cannot have that discussion without talking about mental wellness, mental well-being, and the impact that is, the lack thereof, is having in our community. When we think about the fact that the majority of the violent incidents in our community are coming from arguments. They're stemming from arguments. It's not drugs. It's not gang deals gone bad the way that the narrative tended to be. It begs the question, what's going on? What are the factors that make these incidents more common in certain areas? We tend to think about the environment. We think about the incredible amount of stress that so many of our residents are under. You know, when you have people who don't have very many resources to provide for their households. You have people who are under their own emotional stress or their own historical trauma that they may have dealt with or not dealt with. And then they're now raising children, they're raising young people in, again, a resource poor environment that unfortunately does set the conditions for young people, especially who are growing up with not enough emotional regulation. So when we are under stress, we are raised in a stressful environment. So we think about that 0 to 5 age group. There's an incredible amount of brain development that's happening. And you're really the human condition, the human development process. We're trying to figure out, is this world safe for me during that 0 to 5 year? So if a child's needs are ignored sometimes due to a parent who's stretched thin in other ways, if they aren't being able to be comforted enough by a nurturing parent, if the environment around them is stressful, if there's a parent who themselves is being impacted by domestic violence or some other sort of violence, if there are times where the baby or the young child doesn't have access to enough sufficient food, what you have is an overdevelopment of the parts of the brain that respond or react to stress, that fight or flight mechanism in the amygdala. You have an overdevelopment in that area. So the brain gets really good at detecting stress and assuming threat, whereas consequently you have less development in the part of the brain that controls reasoning and logic and thinking things through. If this happens, then that will happen. I need to do this so that that doesn't happen. That's the part that, unfortunately, under stressful environments and under stressful conditions, does not develop properly. And so when we think about neighborhoods where there are, concentrated levels of poverty, all sharing that same lack of resources, it should not surprise us that there's a large number of young people who are growing up unable to fully engage in thoughtful conflict resolution. People often ask, hey, what can I do about my own anger? I feel just so angry. What can I do? Some of the things that are recommended by research are to remember to take that pause. If you can build in a pause to just reflect. First of all, why am I actually angry? Sometimes what we'll find is that our anger is not so much at the other person or the situation outside of us. We're somehow angry at ourselves. Why am I letting why are they out of control? Why are the children acting this way? Why is my partner acting like this? Is it something I have done or I have not done? And so just pausing, forgiving yourself, being kind to yourself and your own thoughts about yourself. Some people do the counting method. Some people take the deep breathing method. All of these have been shown to slow down that anger response. We also recommend meditation and mindfulness. So that doesn't have to sound like something strange or scary or weird. It literally is taking some time to mentally step away. So building that into your day. It takes 5 minutes a day. You can do that in the morning. You can do it in the evening. Find a quiet space. Sit down and focus on a single thought or no thought. And really just take time to focus on your breathing. What we show is that can rewire your brain to be less reactive, less perceiving of threats, and to be more thoughtful and logical in your reasoning. There are a couple methods of breathing, even if you want to do it in a less complicated way. Just taking in deep breaths and holding them for 3 to 4 seconds and breathing out. Breathing deeply, you want to be breathing deeply enough to where your stomach expands itself. So you're actually taking in air, holding it, and breathing it out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. There's a method called box breathing, where you breathe in for 3 seconds, hold for 3 seconds, and then let it out. Exhale for 3 seconds, and then just continue to repeat that cycle several times. I do that a lot, even in my work. Stepping into a new role can be really stressful. There are other stressors. I'm also a mom and a wife, so I use it very frequently, and I can tell you that it does relieve some of that stress, and it also helps with sleeping. I want to emphasize that if something is off, you think there's something seriously wrong with your child or someone else that you love, please seek out a trained psychologist or therapist. Sometimes your school is a good place to get a referral. There are resources available. But in the meantime, because unfortunately there are not enough providers, in the meantime, as you're waiting for that appointment, you want to make sure that your child is eating the healthiest diet that they can eat. It can sound strange, but what we know is that your diet actually plays a big role in your mental well-being. So you want to make sure they get a balanced diet. So drinking a lot of water, eating their fruits and vegetables. I know, get them off the hot chips sometimes. We can't subsist on hot chips and soda. Making sure that they're going to bed on time. One of the issues we see with teenagers is that their circadian rhythms or their bodies tend to start wanting to stay up later and sleep in later, which kind of throws off not only their emotional well-being, but their physical well-being. So you want to make sure they're still getting their necessary sleep, and also being attentive to them. If you see anything serious, such as them seeking weapons or things like that, or you find out that they are carrying a weapon, please definitely contact someone and let them know this is an emergency. I also want to talk to people just about the incredibly important task of raising young children. This is one of the most stressful times in an adult's life, but we also know that this is also the most vulnerable period in a child's life. Again, going back to that 0 to 5 year age group. Sometimes we have been hurt hearing, don't spoil the baby, don't love on them too much, don't do this too much. That is not supported by any data that we have. What we show is that children who are nurtured, who are supported, who are shown a lot of affection, those children grow up to be more solid and more resilient, actually, from outside stressors and threats. So let's dispel some of those myths in the community as well. One of the things we recommend is to understand that there are some things that you can do, but to also understand that you are in a stressful environment, and that you have some power to change the things that are within your control, but to also understand it does not make you less than, you don't deserve the types of inequities that you're experiencing. That's one of the things we find where people sort of internalize, I can't provide certain things for my family, I don't have access to certain things, I'm somehow just a bad person, I don't deserve better. So we want to dispel that immediately. We also want to remind people that you don't have to go about this alone. We are not really developed. The human condition is not really optimized when we're on our own. Talk to a friend, talk to a family member, talk to someone that you trust to let them know what you're going through. Sometimes that is helpful in and of itself, just to remind your body and to remind your mind that you're not alone. So we want to remind people that they should not be going about this alone. A couple things that I would recommend people always consider when they're thinking about stress and their mental well-being. Number one, being able to forgive yourself and be kind to yourself. Don't talk to yourself in a way that you wouldn't talk to someone else. Reminding yourself that you are resilient. You've been through much and you have overcome much, and you will continue to do so. And then the other part that we continue to stress is taking care of all that is within our control, such as our diet and our sleep, remembering that our lifestyle definitely impacts our mental well-being. So let go of the midnight scrolling on Twitter and Facebook. Understanding that what you see and what you continue to be exposed to can impact your mental well-being. So those are a few of the things that I would continue to stress to people around mental well-being.